I didn't really choose to be an artist. I just think I always knew that I was going to be at some point. I'm Sloane and I'm from Sculpting in southern Tasmania, and I'm a scrap metal sculptor. So I make life-size animals out of scrap material. I'd always wanted to do something with art, and I had this thought of making steampunk lamps. Like, I was collecting a lot of metal for years, knowing I was going to do something with it, but not really knowing how to do it. I eventually, about 5 years ago, did a welding course, just a short, Wednesday evening TAFE course to learn how to weld. Didn't end up making any lamps at all, and just made a full-size eagle. And then that was the first thing I ever welded. I was hooked after that. But I wasn't really planning on making animals out of scrap metal. I was always painting and drawing, like never sculpture. So the latest big one I did was a life-size cow sculpture for Jordan River Senior Farm School out at Brighton. It was a big job though, big life-size cow, which is pretty epic. That's one of the best ones I've done. Yeah, the detail in that is pretty crazy. It's a bit of a challenge to fit the big ones in my little tiny workshop. When the cow or the horse is in here, I'm really struggling to move around. And doing the back of it, I've got maybe a metre, so I can't even really see if I've got the proportions right until I've pulled it out of the shed. So yeah, bigger sheds on the cards, I think. I'm working on a big Great Dane. It's very close to being finished. It's been good fun to do. I like the dogs. The Kelpie was really good. I like getting the face of the dog. For a new sculpture, I'll basically always start with the head. I think the head's the most important bit, and I think it really captures the essence of the animal. If you get the head right, then you're going to have a good sculpture. Then you can figure out the rest of the proportions. Whereas if you made the body first, then the proportions of the head, you'd probably end up with a tiny head or a really massive head. Then I just frame it all out, sort of steel, bits of scrap steel and wire to actually make framework. And then from there, yeah, just start finding pieces that fit. Maybe start with a leg or the middle or the head. It's really dependent on what I'm using. Sometimes I'll find a bit that I think will work in a certain bit and go from there. There's a lot of trial and error, a lot of frustration, a lot of bits thrown on the ground.
This is half my day.
I always work symmetrical, so everything on one side is the same on the other side. So I might find the perfect piece that fits perfectly, but I don't have two of them. So that's a big challenge. And I've tried to do it not symmetrical, but then I can't help it. My brain says no, so I have to change it. But that's a big challenge, finding the right piece to fit in the right spot. That's the never-ending challenge. Yeah. Reusing old material is a huge part of it. I used to gather things from hard rubbish or tip shops that were cool shapes. And people even donate me stuff now, like grandfather's old tools or their father's old tools that they don't know what to do with. And they'd rather see it go into a sculpture that's going to last forever and be in a different life. And it's such good material. I mean, there's still really good steel. People can see my artwork and see the things that you do throw away can be reused in all sorts of different ways. I think that really does inspire some people and maybe makes people think about what they're throwing away more. Especially some of your older, antique tools and farm equipment are all made so beautifully. You have spirals and patterns in it that, you don't get anymore. So it's a bit of a waste just to throw them out. Like, they're actually artistic in themselves, like the actual implements. Art's just something that I could always do. Like, I could just paint and draw. Wasn't really something I'd learned. Same with picking up this metal work. It's like once I picked it up, it sort of just flowed from there. Like, no one's really taught me how to do it. I don't know how I do it. There's no trick to it. It's just the tilt of a head or the certain look or the slight shape. But I don't know how I do it. And my artwork seems to reach people from all sort of different backgrounds, not so much just the, your arty people that would be at a gallery. I really enjoy getting my pieces into shows and at markets and things and see people's genuine reaction to them. People are amazed, they're blown away, which is really good. I think the role of an artist in society is really just to create things that people enjoy to look at. That's where I come from. It's purely aesthetic. If you can see something and you get a reaction of joy out of it, I think that's what art's for.